Yeah.
And all the recordings are going to be on the website for those who can't attend, or if you want to review what we've talked about. So, good morning and thank you for joining me. I'm going to be screen sharing. I won't be able to see you. If you have comments, questions, please just jump in because I will not be able to see your hand raised or you waving at me. When I sent the agenda out, I included that how important the communications officer is in the chapter. And I also want to let you in on a secret. This is the most important office in the chapter. You have the best office, you have an important office, and you have the most fun in your office. You get to talk to a lot of different people and tell them about the chapter, and you get to help promote the chapter and work very closely with the membership officer. So that's a secret. Don't let anybody know that you are the best officer in the chapter. So we'll start off with the annual report. And I hope everyone can see that. And if it's not large enough, let me know. So we'd like to have all the annual reports returned by the end of January. And a copy goes, and with this day and age, email is wonderful. So you can email your copy to your provincial communications officer and to the national office, and we will distribute it amongst the national offices. In Ontario, there's an exception. Please mail it to the Ontario office at iodeontario@gmail.com. And the national email, iodecdn@gmail.com. Please only use that email address for the annual reports. We don't check that email address very often, and sometimes it gets stuck in your address book. So make sure it's not saved to your address book because we'd like to reply to your emails as timely as possible. So we want you to use the IODE Canada at bellnet.ca for all your email inquiries. So even if you don't have a communications report, fill it in with your chapter name, your location, and a contact. That way we know that at least all the chapters have replied. But we do want you to fill in something. If your chapter does have an email address, a website, Facebook, Twitter, and I guess we need to change that word Twitter to X, and an Instagram account, we want to know about those too. And believe it or not, I go and I check each one of these places out and to see what you're doing. That's sometimes a way that we find out things to help include in echoes. So here, the community visibility, we want a little narrative there. We don't need to write a whole story. Bullet points are fine. I'm just looking at my notes here, so. Any questions so far? No? All right, we're moving along here very quickly. Chapter histories. I have found personally, my chapter was celebrating a 70th anniversary quite a few years ago. And I'm new to the chapter, so I have no concept of what they've done and who they supported in the community and how they did their fundraising. So they had archived all their scrapbooks and minute books and all kinds of neat stuff at the museum in the community. So I was able to go and collect all that information to put a chapter history together. And one day there's going to be someone that wants to know about Aunt Renata or Grandma Renata, and that they knew that I was involved with IODE somehow, and they want to know how I was involved. So putting people's names into minutes and identifying them on photographs is important. And when you do store them, whether it's a local archive or museum, please let your provincial and your national chapter know where these files are, because often we do get inquiries, and that way we can direct that person to the right location to find out about, the great aunt or the grandmother, and so they can find their way. IOD
Renata,
market,
if I may,
yes, yes, please, Bonnie.
it's Bonnie. Yeah. Um, if you have them stored at a museum or wherever, as not in a member's homes, you should visit them from time to time to make sure they're still there and still being taken care of in an appropriate manner. So I'd suggest, if not once a year, then at least every 2 or 3 years to go and just, check it out, make sure they're still there. Libraries, museums, whatever, get renovations. They need to move stuff out of the way. They may not realize that they also cull stuff. They throw stuff out. And your chapter probably wants to know if that's going to happen. So keep in touch with whatever institution you have stored your stuff. Make sure you get informed that they have a contact person from your chapter if they decide they want to cull some things or transfer your stuff or whatever the case may be.
Thank you. And it is important. I just went through that also. I took additional items to the museum and we had that discussion because they get to a point where they only have so much room also. And then they get quite, she said, you realize the minutes are not going to be kept in these binders. We're going to put them in special containers. And that the binders will be thrown out if I had a problem with that, or if I wanted to take them home. So I left it in her hands. Marketing materials. We still need marketing materials. Shirley Ann at the beginning was mentioning how she had some IODE bookmarks and she was at an event, had nothing to do with IODE, and she put it on the table. And I remember my friend Bonnie mentioning about leaving material around. She called it littering. Um, however we want to, call this, whether it's littering or spreading the news, it's amazing how if you have a business card, IODE business cards, just leaving them on a table and it starts a conversation. Or if you're going into a business and you're going to ask them for a donation in kind, by giving them your business card. It also shows that you are part of the organization. It will give them your contact information, and that way they can follow up with you. Linda.
Yes. If you notice I'm wearing my vest, that would be one way, right?
Yes,
The
yes.
wearables.
Yes, the wearables. Thank you for reminding us because IOD Eldon House in London. They've got T-shirts or golf shirts at the moment with the 100th or the 125th anniversary logo on it. They also will have other clothing items available probably at the national annual meeting, but I'm sure if you reach out to Karen Dalton, she'll be able to tell you what their inventory is and what they've got. So yeah, wearing IODE clothing is
Yeah,
a
Renata,
marketing material.
is there a spot where that is included in the annual report?
There isn't, but there's no reason why you couldn't put it in the narrative somewhere because I have seen photographs of the chapters wearing their IODE shirts, apple pies, when they're selling or if they're at a craft sale. It's a great way of promoting that you are part of our organization.
I found it's so amazing how many people will come and talk to you and ask you about IODE when you're wearing one of this.
Yeah,
So
great. Echoes. Echoes is a wonderful tool that can be used for promoting IODE. It tells everything. It tells the person who we are, what we're doing, and again, it's old issues are not old issues. They are to us, but to someone else, it still tells them about our brand. And they
Renata,
can be, yes,
Renata, it,
go ahead.
I just want to add the newsletters also. And so when we get a request from the website, I forward a letter to the person. And I also attach the most recent newsletter from Ontario so that they have more information about the chapters and what we're doing.
That's a great idea, Michelle, because New Brunswick has a provincial newsletter and Ontario has a provincial newsletter. And they're full of all kinds of information, which is really nice. And they share the information about what's going on with the other chapters within that province. Any more comments?
Renata,
Yes, go ahead, Bonnie.
yeah, going back to Echoes, two things about that. I think I'm sure we recently had some blast or whatever about Echo subscriptions are available. And I have taken advantage of that and I have a couple of Echo subscriptions. One is to my cousin in the United States because he was so impressed by the Violet Downey Book Award Express News I sent him. He made a donation to IOD Canada. Um, and a couple of my sisters I send subscriptions to as well. And the other thing about Echoes is that in the printing process, and we've said this, but it may be new information to some, when they have Echoes printed, there's usually an overrun of copies, and those are sent to the national office. And sometimes it's a few, and sometimes it's hundreds. So they will frequently have, a carton which contains 200 available for a chapter to use or to give out for any reason. And I think National is still paying for the postage for that. I'm not sure. But anyway, can't do it right now because of the mail strike, but you get the drift. Or if you have anybody who happens to be in the Toronto area, can pick up a few copies for you from the national office. But those are available at National. Now they have moved their office, so they have a whole lot less space than they used to. So I'm sure they can't keep these things around, as long as they used to. But again, as Renata said, even older issues of Echoes are useful PR tools because, well, frankly, chapters do the same thing year after year after year. So they're supporting the same organizations and the information is still very relevant.
Thanks, Bonnie. Any more comments about marketing materials? No? So this is where there's a bit of confusion. The Rose Carolyn Smith. You're on mute. You're on mute. That's why I can't hear you.
Okay. I use the IODE magnet on my car. I have to take it off in the winter because of the snow, but I just put it on the side of the car. Do you know what I mean by the square
Yes.
magnet?
Yes, yes. Well, I think there are still some IOD, those large IODE decals. I don't think I have one here sitting beside me. People were concerned about the magnets, that they were getting lost, or knocked off in the car wash.
That's right.
So we've got decals, and you make them wet and you put them on the inside of your car window. So they're easy to peel off when you're changing vehicles, and they're not stuck on there forever. You just need to get in contact with the office. And again, until the postal strike is settled, we're at a disadvantage of not being able to send things out at the moment. Boy, that post office is going to be inundated with things once they're back at work. This is where there's a bit of confusion. People are not 100% sure how to fill this in, because we get a lot of items that are in kind, and some items that we actually have to pay for. So we've developed a suggested advertising value, and that's on page 3 of the annual report. And we've tried to average this out. Prices may vary from community to community, from province to province, but we've tried to average this out. Oh, Freda, can everyone see Freda?
I've got
She
the
has-
magnet here, Renata.
Is that the magnet or the?
Yes, it is. It's the magnet.
It's the magnet.
It is the
Yeah.
magnet.
And I think the sticker is very similar to that, the peel
Mm-hmm.
and stick sticker. Thank you.
Okay.
So when we're putting an ad in a newspaper, we're always charged by the inch.
Why? Poor baby.
Could whoever has that child, could you please be on mute? Thank you. So the newspaper article, anyone who has paid for newspaper print, it's always charged by the inch, and this is an average cost across those billboards that businesses put up. There's a chapter in the East Coast that have a business that promotes their Christmas tour, and
That's our chapter.
you're really lucky.
We are. They need a whole new set of letters, though. It's really to put all the information on that small board. Linda calls me. She says, "Oh my word, I'm trying to figure out how to condense this so people understand what we're promoting here." But she and her husband do very well to get the word out on that little billboard.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, something like that, it's worth more than $5,000 to us, but that's what, if you had to rent a billboard,
Right.
you know, again, it depends on the community, but we were trying to average this out. There's a lot of community radio stations nowadays and TV stations, and you can have a little promotional shout out, whether you've got an event going on. Freda, do you still have a question? Oh, okay. You can promote your upcoming fundraiser, or whatever. Maybe you've got a opportunity shop and you've got a sale coming on. Different places will promote your upcoming events. Sometimes you're lucky. They will even ask you to come in and they want to interview you because they want to know more about IODE. We've had some wonderful interviews done either on local TV or on radio stations. This www.siteprice.org, it's an evaluation website where you can go in and put in your website name, and they will give you a value on your website. Now, last year we had a chapter, and their website was valued at $1 million,
Wow.
which is not accurate. And it was valued at that because it was a .com, where the rest of us have a .ca, and they value a .ca by tens or hundreds of dollars, not millions of dollars. So that website has very little activity on it and that sort of thing. So it was more valued at $90 than at $1 million. Websites are valued by the amount of traffic that goes to it, the amount of time that you spend on the website. So if you had like Amazon, for instance, like, yeah, that one's worth millions and millions of dollars. But IODE Canada is worth just a few $100s because we don't have the same traffic as Amazon does. But it's still a website. The name is of value. When websites were first developed, people were buying Coca-Cola, for instance, and putting a .com, .ca, .org, all kinds of, maybe it was Australia, putting a value on it, and they were making a large sum of money. So that's why websites are of a value. Facebook, Twitter, now known as X, and Instagram. Yes, Betsy.
I was just going to ask, is the website still in American dollars? Does it have to be converted to Canadian?
I believe it is. I haven't looked at it lately, but the last year when I looked at it, it's still in American dollars.
Okay.
And I don't convert it because the American dollar is worth more than the Canadian dollar.
Okay. Thanks.
And I think we're worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks.
And again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, having followers, and there's a lot more to those accounts, but you'd have to know how to access the their dashboard to be able to get other information. But we were trying to keep things as simple as possible, and I think that was it. So there's always a cost. Sometimes you are advertising in the newspaper, or you have someone who maintains your website. There's a cost to that. Purchasing the domain name, there's a cost to that. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you shouldn't have a cost involved with that, but perhaps you have boosted one of your posts, or you've got an opportunity shop and you've boosted a sale that's coming on. There's a cost involved with that. Again, those numbers you can get from your treasurer, the actual costs, and that will go into this section.
Mhm.
And the in-kind values that we had just discussed will be going into here. And you're going to see these two numbers, they're never close.
No, we wouldn't be.
Renata, if I may,
Please.
Bonnie here. There are a few chapters who pay Zoom costs for their Zoom or hybrid meetings, and that, of course, can be included as well. But I think we need to spread the word that chapters don't need to incur those costs themselves because they can piggyback off of IOD Canada and sometimes in their province. And if you want to have a Zoom meeting, IOD, you just contact IOD Canada and they will, see if there's a date available or whatever. And I understand they have 2 lines or whatever into it. Perhaps you can explain that better, Renata.
I'm not 100% sure on that one, Bonnie, because I wasn't part of that when it was developed. But yeah, there was a couple of accounts, and it's something that I'm going to have to follow up on and get that answer, whether the second account is being used or is available for use
Well,
across.
the main thing is
Canada.
that primary
Renata.
chapters don't need to incur a cost for this. And, if they can contact the IOD Canada or their province, they can probably use those accounts. So they don't incur any costs themselves, because it can be a little pricey for a small chapter.
It can be. Thank you.
Yeah.
Linda and then Natalia.
Yeah, I just a quick thing. I was involved when the Zoom was first established because we actually started it in Ontario. Um, and then I spoke with then President Carol McCall, and she applied for the whole license. And with the application were 10 licenses. We got one from Ontario, and I think actually National had kept 2, and I think some other like another province got one from them. So there are various lines, but I know for sure that National is using 2. So I think chapters can from other provinces can probably connect with National to ask for the use of the Zoom. In Ontario, we had made it available to all the provincial and for all the primary chapters within Ontario, and we still are using that.
Thank you. Natalia?
My question is, I wonder how many chapters actually have a Facebook page and how many have their own website. Do we know that?
Yes, we do. I don't have it at my fingertips.
No, that's okay. My chapter has certainly its own Facebook page, and we post to it all the time. I share the communications role with another person, and she does the posting, and I send out the correspondence to members. But we did contemplate doing a website, but I think that's more complicated than we think it is. So.
The information regarding how many chapter social media platforms there are
Okay.
is in the annual report.
Okay, I'll double check.
All right.
I'd have to look to know, right?
Yes, thank you. Shirley Ann?
I'm wondering, Renata, if the process for accessing the no-cost Zoom could be put out. The reason I ask this is I've been telling my chapter there is free access to Zoom, and I think finally it has sort of stuck with someone because we've been paying each member an additional $10 a year to cover the cost. So as Bonnie said, it's not cheap to get your own Zoom, but if we could have that out there for everyone, it might encourage chapters to utilize the free Zoom. And I can let you know in the new year we will be. Thanks.
We can be. Because there is a way to use Zoom free. I believe you get 40 minutes or 45 minutes.
40.
And you can just get it from the app. Where would be the best place for me to put that? On the website, or do you want
or an e-blast,
or
an e-blast?
I think the website, because it'll stay there, but I think an e-blast just to remind people that it's available.
Sure.
My chapter gets creative. They'll do 40 minutes and then they'll ask for another 40 minutes. So that way we get 80.
Yeah.
is free, right?
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. And it works, but it's
Yeah, but if you use the national Zoom account, you don't have those kinds of restrictions.
or challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing I wanted to share with you today is the website, just to make sure that you know where to find things. I got to move some stuff around here so I can see things.
I do have one comment, Renata. I wish the
Go
print was
ahead.
darker.
Pardon me?
I wish the print was darker.
We can fix that.
Oh, good. Otherwise, I think it's lovely.
Thank you. Make print darker.
That's just for old eyes.
You just sort of, I've been building websites for, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. I can't remember now. And they recommend certain things because it's easier on the eyes and that sort of thing. But I like feedback. So thank you very much. Because without feedback, I think everything is fine. And if I don't hear from anybody, I don't know any different. So on the front page, we have put all the different signature programs that IODE covers. And by clicking on them, it'll take you directly to that page. So we try to make things as simple and easy as possible for people visiting the website. Under the home page, we've put in about the 2024 National Annual Meeting. In the new year, the 125th National Annual Meeting, which will be in London, that page will be coming up with links to booking your room with a proposed agenda and about some of the speakers. So we had a lovely time in Charlottetown, and we've got pictures there. And if you want to take a few minutes or tell somebody in your chapter to take a look, I'd like that. We've added, I'm having some little issues going on with my screen here, so bear with me. Since we're celebrating 125 years of IODE, we've started a new website page, and I'm going to go to the very bottom and start there. We got this wonderful
Cool.
YouTube video that was put together by Niagara Falls Museum, and it's about the 9 chapters that were active in the Niagara area. And it's a interesting video. So if you want to take a look at it, and it shows what those chapters did in that community. This is a newspaper article about a retired school teacher who received an IODE bursary or an award in high school. And he contacted IOD Ontario and wanted to tell them all about it and was very appreciative. This is a really interesting article. It was in the Canada's History magazine, and they highlighted this woman who was one of our first IODE War Memorial Scholarships winners in the early 1920s. And she, by the time her career was ended, she was a retired dean of women at Queen's University. And so the whole magazine article is here on the website. And IOD Catherine McPhee chapter in Dresden they're celebrating their 110th anniversary, and they sponsored a plaque in the park, and they've put on the IOD 125th anniversary logo, and so that's how they're celebrating their anniversary. So if you're doing anything special to celebrate IOD 125 years, we want to hear about it. And or if someone has because of your chapter has made an impact in the community, it could be as simple as perhaps you paid for a child to go to swimming camp, and they became an Olympic star. Or perhaps your chapter is known in your community because you helped build that kitchen in the community center. There's all kinds of reasons that we've made an impact, and we don't realize some of these impacts, or get someone who you have helped, right? Ask them to write an impact story for you. Don't forget Snack Pack and the Shop to Give program. Just by clicking on this little tab, takes you right to the Flip to Give, and then you can sign up and use the gift cards, and we get a small percentage back, and all that money goes into Snack Pack. Under the membership here on this public website, we've got Who is IODE, celebrating IODE members. I just want you to remember that the digital, we have copies of the digital Echo magazines, and it goes back, I think, back right to January 2007. So if you want to pull up an article or a copy of it or print it out for some reason, there's an archive there of the last few years of echoes. What else did I want to?
Renata, will they be including more past articles of echoes? Do you know? I mean, like, I'm thinking of anniversary years for IODE Canada.
We only have them back to January the 7th, 2020.
2007. Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, we don't have copies of digital copies. I guess.
But is there a possibility to scan them into the website? I mean, I don't think we need them all, but it would kind of be nice, considering we're coming up to 125, that maybe we had like the 10, 25, 50, 75, and 100.
I can ask. I don't know if Bonnie, do you know where past echoes are? Do you think they're being stored outside the office?
Before they moved, they had quite a few issues. Well, they were bound. The old
Yeah.
issues are all bound. They're all kept. So, and I'm sorry, I don't know what is kept off-site and what is on-site, but I would suggest that if we want to do that, and I suggest Shirley and Elms, you talked about the anniversary years, the special ones. If there's a handful of them, the guy who puts together echoes for us, what's his name? Howard. I was wondering if he has a snazzy scanner that he'd be able to do a really good job scanning those for us and digitizing them so that we could put them on the website.
We will look into that.
It's all fine and dandy trying to do it on a photocopier, but there are more sophisticated scanners and things that he might have that might work. If not, we could probably try and do it ourselves. But again, you'd have to access what's at the national office or what's in storage right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have a number of issues, but it's hit and miss. But I'll look into it and see what I have, see if there's anything that, again, and I would take it to be scanned professionally if we want to put it on the website.
You know,
But thanks for the idea. I'll just add that to my to-do list for IODE.
one of the members in my chapter has every copy of Echo she's ever received, and she's been a member a long time. I can certainly ask her the question.
Thank
Sure,
you.
that would be great.
Thank you. Now my cursor doesn't work. There we
Oh,
go.
there we go. Now it's working.
Oh. Again, this is giving me. So I'm going to take you to the members resources section, and I know everybody knows how to get there. And that's part of the privilege of being an IOD member. You have the password to this website. This is the home where you have all kinds of resources, the forms, certificates, IODE images, the logo, the crest, all those kinds of things. And if you're not sure where to find things, again, feedback is appreciated. When it's like looking at the forest and not seeing the trees.
Mm-hmm.
You think that you've got everything laid out in a well laid out manner where people can find items and forms and documents, but sometimes it's not that simple. Under the Welcome tab, and also right here is the link to the primary chapter annual reports, which is now time to download, and you can fill them in as you have time to do that. Also, under the Welcome, this is where we've put all these workshops that have been going on the last few weeks. And we've converted them to YouTube because I think that's a simpler format, and you can skim through it quickly. You can sit and watch them. Most of them are anywhere from 60 minutes to 90 minutes, or you can just watch whatever you want or whatever interests you. So right now we're up to the services workshop, and this week, what did we have? Not too sure.
Citizenship.
Membership.
Yeah, membership, citizenship, those dates are wrong, but anyway. You ladies have gotten the links anyway.
Hey, Renata, you told
Yeah.
us earlier about some top secret information, but if you're putting this video on the website, everybody's going to know about it.
That's right. On YouTube for sure.
Well, we can make YouTube private.
Mm-hmm.
But
The stuff about communications being the most important for
it is, but that's what I want to keep secret. It's because it's the most important position. That's why it's a secret. Otherwise,
But
everybody
you're
else
putting this
will want it.
you're putting this workshop on YouTube.
Yeah.
Regardless, I agree with Renata.
We've put in the 125th anniversary dedicated section here, and this is where you can download the 125th anniversary logo. This is actually the annual meeting logo, embracing our future, celebrating our past. And we have IODE pins, buttons rather, tuna quarterage, but some of those people that had attended the
Oh.
Charlottetown anniversary our annual meeting receive buttons, and there's more buttons at the office if you want to purchase them. And we've developed some really pretty book stickers that you can put on front of books. And it's a silver foil background with the 125th anniversary, and they're about 2 inches wide. Every book's got to have a book plate in it, and whether you're donating this personally or whether your chapter's donating the book, these book there's downloadable templates here, or that you can download and fill them in yourself, and or you can order them from the office by just contacting, emailing the office. We've got bookmarks. I haven't seen them yet. I haven't had them in my hand. I understand some of the other ladies have seen them and already have them. And of course, Eldon House 125th anniversary golf shirts. And I've got one of those, and they're great.
Renata, a suggestion?
Yeah.
With regard to the bookmarks, they are free from National, except for the cost of postage, mailing them to you. Of course, we can't get them right now, but anyway. Whenever you donate used books, like a lot of us read novels, mysteries, or romance or whatever, whenever you donate those books, why don't you tuck in an IOD bookmark before you give it to, whoever, book sale or Goodwill or Salvation Army or thrift shop or whoever. And anything that will, and I'm actually thinking of anything you donate where you can tuck in a bookmark or put a little IODE sticker on anything you donate to any of those places, that would spread the word that we're here, we exist.
Great ideas. Thank you.
Renata,
Linda.
I had to run and get it from my purse. I've been carrying. This is the 125th as bookmarks. They're beautiful.
Great.
Yeah.
I can't see it because I've got my screen different.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if
I'm
everybody
glad.
can.
I hope everyone else is able to see them. Also, under this tab or drop-down menu, we've put in suggestions on how to write your IODE or our IODE story. It's when you're asking for people to write a testimonial about how IODE has impacted their life, or whether it's an individual or an organization. We don't realize how much impact we've done, and we want to document these stories. We talked about archival earlier, and this is all part of that archival thing. If we don't keep our history, who is going to keep it? We've been asked for, how do you write a letter to an organization or a business or an individual to ask for donations? And so we've got some suggestions here for that type of thing. And we've got a generic letterhead here. If you choose to use it, you're more than welcome to. And all the anagrams that have gone out, we haven't put up yesterday's anagram yet, but those are available. We've in here is all the different things that you can perhaps your chapter can use. There's ideas in here about fundraising, different types of fundraising. So if you want to take a look at that, we've tried to share ideas there. Again, with my computer. Oh, no. Hang on. Where were we? Fundraising forums.
Renata. It's Natalie.
Go ahead.
My chapter recently, just as a fundraising idea for others, my chapter recently reached out to a local tea shop and who sells herbal teas and loose teas and hot chocolate. And their selection of items is small, but it's very nice product. And we've done this now three years in a row, and they give us back 35% of the sale. And maybe there's a local tea shop that's run by a private individual rather than a corporate company that would do something like that for others. So it certainly has worked well for us, and they're happy for us to partner with them because then that's brought new people to their shop.
I've also heard of women's clothing stores. They're willing to put on a fashion show.
Yeah,
and you sell the tickets.
correct.
Yeah. My chapter, the local theater in the community, on dress rehearsal nights will give local organizations, not-for-profit organizations, a number of tickets to sell. It's usually about 25 tickets each, and they have multiple.
When he's coming, he just asked.
Tires are right there.
They
Okay, and 450? They're the ATV ones that were on.
No, I'm the same. You see anybody out there loading them on a truck?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Can
But they're the ATV ones, right?
Yes.
Can you be on mute, Bev, please? Thank you. Yeah, the local theater is hands out tickets and you sell them. It started off at $25 and you got $20 for 20 tickets. That adds up very quickly. And now I believe it's up to $35 and you keep $30. So it's a nice way of collaborating with a community partner. Under officers' resources, all the different officers, I think everybody knows to look there. And if you've got a new president coming in, we tried to put up their ideas or of documents that she may need. And of course, our Constitution and bylaw number 1. There's a copy there that's available for everyone. Any questions? Rose Carolyn, you're on mute again.
This is the Echoes 1925, the silver anniversary copy. A lady in town was cleaning out her husband's grandmother's house, and she brought me a bag full. There's some in the 1920. This is the 1925, and there's a 1912 one in the bag too. But they had quite a nice.
They were large and lots of pay.
Lots
and they used to advertise. There was
yes,
all kinds of
advertising.
They're fun to look through. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this page is half full of advertising.
Yeah. Fur coats, cigarettes.
If I may, for many, many years, there was one of the distillers had the back page of Echoes advertising their whiskey. Years. That went on.
I still have the photos from the Saskatchewan group that is no longer. But anyways.
There were some questions sent in, and I'm going to go through them. Our chapter needs clarification on outside hours. This is volunteer hours, and to report is using those hours, communications, citizenship services. All volunteer hours are recorded on the citizenship report. There's no place on any of the other reports for volunteering in that area, because I understand if you've given an award at the high school or at the local elementary school or even at the local community college, you're doing that because of education. It's still under the citizenship report. The other question was, why are national donations, Canadian Disaster Fund, Services Fund, Snack Pack on several annual reports such as the Treasurer's Report, Citizenship Report Services? This seems redundant. When can it be on mainly the Treasurer's Report? Bottom line is we have multiple national officers that look at the report for their department, and we do not have access to the National Treasurer's or the primary chapter's Treasurer's Report. So I have no idea that you paid someone to take care of your website, for instance. And if it's not on your communications report, I don't know that. The National Treasurer would know that, but that would mean, you know, I don't have access to that information.
Yeah, if I may, as a past national treasurer, the treasurer's reports are confidential. They're not ever put on the website, or they're not available to anybody except the board of directors, unless there's a special request that comes in. But generally, that is regarded as confidential information and is not shared.
No, no. Looking for ideas to include more members in planning events and suggestions, new ways to gain members. How can we contribute to outside groups to support our initiatives? I'm looking for suggestions. Looking for ideas to include more members in planning events. Natalia, if you're talking to me, I can't hear you.
I know I'm silent. I'm a silent partner, Renata. I mean, you know, it's an ask. Not only do I do volunteer work for IOD, I do volunteer work for a school program that I coordinate. And I can assure you, I get some of my volunteers, and I have over 20 that deliver this program. Some will say, "Oh yeah, I'll be back next year," but I always write them in January and say, we're doing this program again in May. These are the dates. Please let me know now if you think you won't be available, so that I need to know either I got to find more volunteers.
Bonnie?
Yeah, Renata, I would suggest if you have an event or some function you're doing, try to break it down as much as possible. So there may be some small tasks that you can ask some of the reluctant members to take on. They don't want to do something big, but they may do a small thing for you. So break down, as I said, whatever your event is into, small bits, so that members who otherwise are hesitant can possibly take those on. And again, ask them personally, and not necessarily during meeting, because that can be intimidating. But call them up after the meeting and say, would you mind taking this on, and have a private conversation with them.
And maybe if they standing is difficult, and so I have a sitting job for you. Anyway.
Well, exactly. And you may not be able to be there at the event, but you can call, or you can call some vendors, or you make phone calls or emails, or do some research for you on the computer or whatever.
Thank you. Linda?
Yes, I think it's not a bad idea to partner with another organization. I've spoken to members of the Kiwanis and Rotary, and they're willing, because they almost have the same projects as some of the other chapters. Say if you had a book sale, you can, and the Rotary has a book sale, you can kind of combine them, or whatever activities that's combinable with yours. This way they get to know about IODE, and some members have got friends, from that organization, are enticed to become active when there's more fun, I guess. More people, more fun.
Thank you. Well, That's all the talking I have. If there's, I thank each and every one of you. I hope I've covered everything that you were curious about. If not, you know how to get in contact with me, either through the office or some of you have my direct email. Bonnie?
Yeah, I know this isn't an Echoes committee meeting, but you are the Echoes editor, and I want to congratulate you on the reworking of Echoes. I really like the revamp, and I think it looks great. And particularly the cover story was really, really well written. So congratulations on that. I thought it was I like the new look. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
One
I
more.
will pass that, just a minute, I'll pass that on to the committee. I don't do any of the work. We have a wonderful team and I get to take the accolades. Thank you, I appreciate that. Linda?
I echo what Bonnie said, and I also want to thank you for this workshop. And I very much agree with you that communication is the most important aspect of any committee, any organization, any group. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Renata.
Renata, would you stay on the line for just a minute when everybody gets off? I cannot find how to turn my thing to mute or how to raise my hand. And
Okay.
I'm thinking you could walk me through that.
Oh, you want a private toodle?
Thank you. I just
Or
appreciate it.
toodle?
Have a new word, toodle.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to
Bye.
stop